So my name is Ptashko and I'm an entrepreneurial change management consultant, which is a bit complicated, but basically it means that I help people start social businesses and also work with organisations that are much larger than one person to help them understand a bit more about what is social enterprise and how can they play a role in changing the world too. Social enterprise really started at the end of the 1980s at Harvard Business School in the US. It really is a concept, a sort of theory. Came over to the UK in the late 90s. And it was a bit better established under the then Blair government. There wasn't really much in the way of support for people wanting to start a social business until the year around 2000, 2001. So the first foundation that helped people start a social business was called Unlimited, and they received around £100 million from the government to establish a fund, effectively. And that fund helped early stage social entrepreneurs, providing money of around £5,000. So that's really now only a bit more than 15 years ago. So it's a very new sector, but in that time, it's grown tenfold. So we now have probably over 100 organisations looking to help social entrepreneurs start and scale, when back then we had 3 or 4. So it's a significant growth area, and it's a big part of the global economy as well as the UK economy. So it represents about 2 million people and £50 billion of turnover in the UK right now. The other organisation I didn't mention is an organisation called Ashoka. They started in the US around the time of the early 90s, and they support really very successful entrepreneurs that have made a big difference. So Mohammed Yunus is one of the most famous social entrepreneurs, and he started something called the Grameen Bank, basically micro-lending to individuals, particularly across the southern hemisphere, to really get their business, their farm, whatever it may be, off the ground. And that took off. He became a bit of a poster boy for them. Bill Drayton founded Ashoka, and they've really been the lead organisation over the last 20 years. But again, it's still a very new sector. In the UK, Unlimited, its long-term chief exec Cliff Pryor, who's now chief exec at Big Society Capital, which is a big bank supporting social enterprises at a bigger scale, helped really sustain that organisation and grow it over the last decade. So they're some of the key players. So I got into social enterprise through university. So around 13 years ago now, I started a simple book sale. So the issue at university, I think still now, is that students struggle to access cheap and affordable course books. They cost £30 or £40. I needed around 6 or 7. I studied politics. And it was just an easy way of getting cheaper books and reselling them when you finish with them. We did that for one day and we raised £25,000 in 7 hours. Way beyond our expectation. We effectively ran Waterstones for a day. That really gave me a sense of the power of this, that if you're doing good and you're doing it sustainably and growing that, then anything's possible. And that then took off at that institution. Of course, those were the days when Amazon didn't exist, so probably that would be less successful now, but still, it was a good idea at the time. And yeah, I've gone from there, really. I started a small human rights charity. I've joined a few boards to help them grow various sized organisations, but the thing that I really enjoy the most is working with entrepreneurs directly. So the reason that social enterprise is so important right now is because we have so many big global challenges to face. You just have to look in the media today to describe some of those in the UK, whether it be macro issues like Brexit, for example, big political turmoil, climate change, a whole knife crime in the UK, a whole bunch of challenging issues. Social enterprise is a really empowering way of saying to anybody in the street, you can make a difference. It's your idea, it's your community, it's your future. Don't wait for a leader to come along and impress you. You are the leader. You are the change you want to see in the world. It's a cliche, but it's absolutely true. There's funding and opportunities available. All you need is the passion and the drive and be willing to commit to something. Anything can happen. So why not create social change? Because many people say that the worlds of capitalism and the public sector and the state should never meet and cannot support each other. But the reality is so different, and actually you can create a sustainable opportunity to change your community by combining a business model with a great idea. You can care and create a passionate change. Instead of looking to the usual suspects and the usual sources for your inspiration, look inside yourself, because you will find that inspiration. It's just a case of unleashing that talent and potential. So I think what's really exciting is that it doesn't take too much resource to get something off the ground. So if there's an issue that's very current that you really care about, and the people around you really care about, then instead of moaning at the news every 6 o'clock or with friends down the pub, actually, I mean, you can still do all that, but then actually say, why don't you give me £5, or why don't I, go down the post office, get some stationery, draw out a quick business plan on the back of a fag packet, and get something going. Really, it's quite easy to do. A lot of people think social enterprise is, I need to have business acumen, I need to get a lawyer, I need to get an accountant. That's actually the opposite of the truth. Those things come years down the line when things have started. Just have an idea, get a friend involved, get a product or something out there, sell it, talk to people, talk to your customers. You'd be surprised how quickly people latch onto an idea. It's that simple. Social enterprises can be big or small. They can be local, regional or global. And what you'll hear is that people are often thinking locally, but they're acting globally. And what that means is they have in mind their local family, community, whatever it may be that they're passionate about. But they also know what the global issues are. And it's a really powerful alliance actually of having a good sense of what's going on around you and making a change, but having the ambition and the drive to make something happen on a bigger scale and to connect in with people that are doing similar things in other parts of the world. So it's a really powerful way of making social change at different levels and connecting those up. I'm always overwhelmed by the fact that people from all walks of life are interested in social enterprise, whether it be young, old, corporate, public sector. They don't necessarily know each other, and they hadn't necessarily dreamt of working with each other, but they're all driven by this passion to do something good. Sometimes it's the start of their career, and that's all they've ever wanted to do. Sometimes they've made millions on the property market or in investment banking. I meet a lot of those people who actually just want to invest that money back into something good. They realise they're 40 or 50 or whatever age it may be, and they haven't really lived the life they thought they would live. So this is a really opportune moment and avenue for them to give back. I see a lot of people in the room today. It's a really diverse mix. You've got younger people who are starting out their career who are really passionate about this. People that have been in the company for a while, I think, that are saying, actually, how can we pivot towards this, or is this an opportunity? I'm hearing a lot more about this. I don't like what I see, but I think there's a kind of opportunity here to change the world that I have a question mark over. So you see it come in all different shapes and sizes. That's what's so exciting. And that's why I often do bring a social entrepreneur with me, although I have been a social entrepreneur myself. And people say, what do they look like? Well, it can be anybody. So I could bring anybody with me and that will be an entrepreneur. It's about the passion and really believing in that change they're trying to create.